affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, sir. You can be seated. Please speak into the microphone, state your full name, and spell your last name for the record.
John Vincent Navarra, Navarra.
Good afternoon. What do you do for a living?
Well, I'm retired now, but my last position was I was a teacher at MSD, Marjory, Stoneman Douglas High School.
Okay. And what did you do before you were a teacher?
I was in the Army. I did logistics and administration type work for 22 years.
Okay. And what did you teach at Marjory Stoneman Douglas?
Junior ROTC.
Okay. What is junior ROTC?
Well, it's a high school course. It's accredited, and it teaches soft skills to our students. Our mission there was to encourage young people to become better citizens, and our goal was that they graduate from high school and go on to some post-secondary high school education.
And what are some of the things you taught at JROTC?
Well, the actual curriculum is called Leadership Education and Training, and there are lessons in leadership, of course, citizenship, health and welfare, physical fitness, geography, American history and government, communications, and emotional wellness.
Okay. And how long were you teaching JROTC at Marjory Stoneman Douglas?
I taught a total of 12 years.
When did you start and when did you finish?
I started in 2017 and I left in 2019.
Okay. when did you start?
2017.
You started at Marjory Stoneman in 2017. I thought you said you taught there for 12 years.
Right. Was my math wrong?
Well, when did you leave?
No.
I thought my math was bad. 2007, was it?
Yes.
When,
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's all right.
I taught junior ROTC, not math.
Okay. So 12 years starting in 2007, right? Okay.
Yes.
All right. And is there, how does it work? Is it just one class of JROTC or two classes? How does it work?
Well, a full load in junior ROTC would be 4 years. If a student went in, they would go in as a LET 1 and go to 2, 3, and 4. LET meaning leadership, education, and training. But we would have, the full load of classes, 2 teachers per day.
Okay. And I'm sure you still are a sergeant, right?
Yeah, first sergeant, yes.
First sergeant, okay. So I'd like to call your attention to 2015 school year. Did you have a student by the name of Nikolas Cruz?
Yes.
What did you have him for?
He was in my junior ROTC class.
Okay. And approximately how many students would you say you had in your class at that time?
Oh, probably 20.
20?
Yeah.
Okay. And did they wear uniforms or how did it work?
There is a uniform requirement, which they wear once a week. It's a dress uniform.
Okay. Is there any other type of dress that's had by your students in JROTC?
We would alternate the dress uniform with a polo shirt and black pants.
Okay. Let me show you State's exhibit, Mark. 102. Sergeant, do you recognize it?
Yes, that's one of our polos.
Okay. And it's marked JROTC, Marjory Stoneman Douglas.
Yes.
So how long did you have Nikolas Cruz as a student?
He was in our program for about 2 years. I taught him regularly for 1 year, and as a LET 1, and then next year he went into the next classroom, 1 level up to LET 2.
Okay. So it was a year, 2 semesters? Is that the way it worked?
Yes.
Okay. So how often would you see him?
I saw him every other day during class, I think, the block scheduling.
Okay.
And then I would see him daily, except for Friday, during marksmanship practice.
Okay. What is marksmanship?
Marksmanship is a non-aggressive shooting sport that stresses concentration, focus, precision, patience, and a lot of concentration.
How do you get into marksmanship? Did you just apply, or how do you get in?
Well, we announced that we are going to start marksmanship, so the students come in after school, and it could be 20 to 30. And the first thing that we do is we give them a safety test. Well, we give them a safety class first, range and rifle safety. And then they take the test, which is 100 questions, and they have to score 100 before they move on any further.
Okay. And you're talking about rifles. What kind of rifles are they?
They're air rifles,
Air rifles.
pellet guns.
Pellet guns.
Yeah.
Okay. So they take the test, those who pass the test, and they go on to the next, what is the next?
We'll give them some preliminary instructions on how to hold the air gun in the prone position, and how to load a pellet safely. We give them, because by then they understand what range safety is and how to behave on the range. They have to shoot 3 pellets towards a paper target 10 meters away. We call it grouping. They have to group the pellets, first round into the size of a quarter.
Okay.
Second round, the size of a nickel, and then down to a dime. Once they've done that, then they're on the way to be on the team, but we have to zero the sights. The sights are precision sights, and you can adjust them, up and down. So if the bullseye is one position, but their group is over here, we adjust the sights so the grouping goes onto the bullseye. Some make it, and some don't.
Okay. And once they make it's a marksmanship team?
Mm-hmm.
So what do they do as a team?
Well, there's a 4-person team, and I had as many as 4 teams at one time. But then they're given a position on a team, and those teams will compete against each other. Then we rank them A, B, C, D teams.
Okay. And do they go to meets and stuff like that?
Yes,
with
yes.
Other schools?
Yes, quite often. We competed at several different schools, and depending on how many teams were allowed, we would take them and they would compete.
Okay. And with the marksmanship, are there grades like marksman? What are they?
Well, it's an extracurricular activity,
Okay.
but there are badges that they can win if they shoot well. And Nikolas Cruz earned the sharpshooter badge.
Okay. And how do you get a sharpshooter?
You have to score, I think it's 20 to 30 points in the prone and standing position.
Okay. All right. And the marksmanship program, you taught that after school?
Yes,
Okay, and that's 4 days a week, it doesn't include Friday, correct?
that's not on Friday.
Okay. And are there other things you achieve, awards you achieve by being in JROTC?
Well, yes, there's lots of different awards. There's an award for almost everything. The kids wear a uniform and they get to wear ribbons, and they earn the ribbons by participating in different activities, whether it be marksmanship, the Raiders, drill and ceremony, marching in a parade, doing some service, community work, and that type of thing.
Okay. I want to show you now, Sergeant, 3 videos that have been introduced into evidence. One we have is now 473 and 474 and 475. Have you seen those?
Yes, I have.
Drives before?
Yes,
Okay.
and I've initialed each one.
Okay. And you viewed them and saw them?
Yes,
And,
yes, sir.
2 of them were just voices, correct?
Yes.
You recognize that voice on those two videos?
Yes,
And whose voice was that?
it was Nikolas Cruz.
And when the third one was the face, did you recognize?
Yes, I did.
And who was that?
Nikolas Cruz.
All right, do you see Nikolas Cruz in the court?
Yes,
today, Sergeant?
sitting right over there.
Okay, overruled.
Sorry, I didn't,
He's sitting right over there at the end of the table.
blue sweater.
Yes, that's him.
Madam Recorder, with the court's permission, would you like to reflect that Sergeant Navarra has identified the defendant, Nikolas Cruz? Thank you, Sergeant. Your Honor, I have no further questions. Excuse me for one.
Sure.
My fault, Sergeant. If I may, Your Honor.
Sure.
Okay. Did Nikolas Cruz have permission? Were you on campus on February the 14th, 2018?
Yes.
Okay. Did Nikolas Cruz have permission to be on that campus?
No, he did not.
February the 14th, 2018? He did not?
No, he did not.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
Defense, any questions? Okay.
Good afternoon, Sergeant.
Good afternoon.
You are aware that Mr. Cruz was an exceptional student, right?
An exceptional student?
Right, an ESE student.
Oh, okay, yes,
Okay. And that he had an individual education plan.
yes,
And that's a summary of that is given to you prior to him entering your class, correct?
yes,
And you are aware of his disabilities for which he received services, right?
I couldn't name them now, but I was at the time.
Okay. Do you recall them being emotional behavioral disabilities at all?
I never witnessed any, but I would have read it in his IEP.
Okay. What about a language impairment?
I don't recall that, but I never saw him having problems with language in my class.
Okay. You were also aware that when he was in your class, he was only in one other class at MSD at the time.
Yes, the first year, yes.
And that most of his time was spent at Cross Creek,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
Which is a school for those with emotional behavioral disabilities.
Yes,
Were you aware that his psychiatrist from Cross Creek stated that she was not recommending that Mr. Cruz be put in JROTC?
no, I didn't know that per se, but he did come to me one time and said, he said, for Sergeant, they might let me come here all year next year. And he was excited and looking forward to that.
Sure. You were aware from his cadet data sheet, which you get for all the students in JROTC, correct, that his mother had stated he was low-end autistic.
Yes,
And you viewed him as not being academically proficient. Would you agree with that?
well, he did well in junior ROTC because we're not a academically hard class. And he was quiet and well-behaved, and oftentimes that is worth a lot in a classroom. He passed his tests, and he participated in such a way that he was an average student.
Would you agree that you were aware that even though you hadn't observed it, you were aware that Mr. Cruz had some emotional issues?
Yes,
And that he also seemed to have some social impairments. He didn't have a lot of friends or hang out with anybody in the class.
yes.
Okay, just a moment, Judge.
Sure.
Thank you so much, Sergeant.
You're welcome.
State anything else?
No, thank you,
Okay,
Sergeant.
thank you, sir. You're excused.